So we're gonna get into what we're gonna talk about.
Or are we get what? What do you mean?
What are we
what
gonna talk about?
like what are we gonna? What's the furthest thing that we could talk about from
Like
here?
maybe the furthest place from here. What's
Like
the furthest place from here?
what's the furthest place from here? Volume 2?
Volume 2. So I don't know if you saw that I sent what I sent to you, but like I didn't realize that volume. Yeah, so volume 2 is issues 10 through 13, and so 7, 8, and 9 are not in a trade paperback yet.
Interesting.
And
okay, so I did look into this, and I noticed that that's what because I googled what's the farthest place from here, volume 2, and I noticed that it said 10 through 13 and didn't have those one in the middle.
Yeah, so 7, 8, and 9. One thing to note is all 3 of them were drawn by a different artist.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's just like a different take, but like it's like for me it's brilliant in that aspect because they're prequel issues.
Mm-hmm.
They all take place before volume 1, and so memory is all about like your perspective of that situation you were in. Mm-hmm. And so it made sense to have it told through like a different form of art in each one of those. And I think I liked all 3 of them.
Here's what I'll say is that one of the reasons that I really loved volume 1 of this comic is because of the art. Like, the art is so good. I enjoy it so much. And for me to like dive into this world, and what I'll say is I think these prequels kind of establish the world outside of like when we were in that world, we mostly just followed the main group of people and their kind of perspective on everything.
The academy.
Right, the academy. We didn't see the outside kind of what was actually happening and what had happened and all that stuff. So it started to introduce like, I wouldn't say supernatural, but like weird things and like horror elements, like things that weren't necessarily in volume 1. So then to kind of have that, it was a little jarring to have different art and then the world be different. And, but what I will say is that the stories were so good and compelling that that's what carried me through. Yeah. And so I didn't read these month to month. I read this shotgunned in one sit over the weekend. And I'm glad that I did it that way because I feel like if I would have went month to month, I would have maybe, I don't want to say lost interest because I really love that comic, but I would have been deterred.
As somebody who has read it as each one has come out, it does get a bit convoluted.
Mm-hmm.
Just because like, and I'm glad that I reread through 7 through 13 over the last couple days. And I'm glad that I did because I picked up on things that, I didn't remember. Like certain things happened in the last issue, in issue 13, where you're like, okay, why was that character important? But, that character made an appearance in 7, 8, or 9, or one of these issues before 13. And it is just like really being drawn out at the same time as being drawn together. And something I've really liked about this series is just that, in that from issue 1, I don't know where this series is going.
No,
I don't think anybody knows where this series is going, but
outside
it's
of the
also
creators,
but it's also being told in like how you would read through like Game of Thrones or even just watching the show. And it's like, you had this family, an event happens, they all get scattered. And now there's a lot of stories to tell. And there's like, I think it started out with like 30 or 50 like main characters. Like if you go back to the first volume issues, they all have like a list of characters. And like a lot of those characters are still alive and they're meeting new characters. And they're still being like written into the stories in like a very purposeful way. And and so then with those prequel ones though, it's like, it was really cool to get some answers to like, who are the strangers? Like, where did they come from? Well, now we know that this huge war broke out. And the strangers were adults who survived this like plague that only like affected adults.
right,
for some reason, and they survived, but they were changed by it. And so you got kind of like answers to that in 7, 8, and 9. But then it's also still continued in volume 2, which is 10 through 13. And like, there's a panel that shows one of the strangers out of their like cloak or whatever you want to say, their cowl.
like their face is revealed.
Yeah. And so
it's very unsettling.
Very unsettling.
It's like, because like it's like pimples but eyes. Like,
yeah,
like it's a bad case of eye acne.
Yeah. And again, I guess now that we're back on art kind of, but it's just, you know, Tyler Boss is the one who's doing the art, but he's also helping like write the story as well with Rosenberg. But like Tyler has a really like acute ability to like play with the characters' emotions and their expressions and the way that he draws them. And that's another thing that I've just really appreciated throughout this series is like all characters have their own expressions. He's not like reusing the same like type of smile for a bunch of different characters.
Right. Yeah.
You know, he's taken his time like drawing this. And then again with the 3 artists who did 7, 8, and 9, like they all did that really well too. And so it just makes me wonder, like, is this like something that Tyler as the lead artist like focuses on, and like he like, you know, did he have a say in who got to do 7, 8, and 9?
Interesting.
And was he looking for things like how do you do your character expressions?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it would be lovely to know, you know, what was the thought process behind that. We'll have to try to I mean, obviously I would love to get those guys on and chat with them about that. But yeah, I mean, this comic for me just feels like such a work of art, like or such like a work of love, of just like very intentional, of like, we know, like, I do think they are the only ones that know where it's going. I think the city is going to start playing into it, like where, you know, where potentially all the adults are. Obviously, I think there's probably going to be a little bit of a twist. But I think I'm very happy seeing like, I don't want to really spoil it because it kind of spoils maybe volume 1, but seeing where like the character with the mohawk, I can't remember his name, but who recently acquired a dog, or no, the other person acquired a dog.
Sydney acquired a dog, but she also, we learned, was not the first Sydney.
Right. So so I'm just happy to see that and like where those characters kind of end up at. So I'm stoked on this. I think I don't know, I have no idea how long it's going to go for, but like I'm just in for the ride, you know. I'll probably read it the same way that I did last time. Maybe, I don't know. We'll see. Yeah.
I don't know. I might let the next arc build up as well and just read through it all at once. But overall, I love the series. Issues 8 and 13 really stand out to me as just like being near perfection of a comic. The stories in both of them, because let's see, 8 was the origin of the Academy.
Nice. Yeah.
And just how that all like played out and how we saw different aspects of how the council meets. Because in volume 1, the carnival runs everything. Like they're the ones that are in charge. That's where all the leaders of the family go to the meetings. But in this prequel story in issue 8, it's the boys in blue who are in charge, and they're like the police family of, I don't know, whatever this
realm is called.
Yeah.
And the weird thing is it's just that like it's not a big area, it seems. I mean, I guess it is because they're all walking. It takes them a couple days, but like it's still not that big, you know. It seems like, because they do pull up a map and it doesn't seem like it's like the entire like United States, you know. Like it does seem like it's just like a couple states, you know.
Like, well, it honestly looks like they're all sequestered to a town. Because that's like, I mean, you know, because like big business, they live in the bank and they're the ones who like run the money. But then there's the Academy, and they live in the Academy record shop. And then there's,
but I think it might be different towns that of like different like banks and like, but small town America, like small cities in America. Like if you live in a city, like I'm not talking about you specifically because I know you would know this, but like small towns in America have so many towns in like a dense area, you know. Just those small towns that are just called like Wimbledon, or like, I mean, Wimbledon's a place or whatever, you know, like, just like you're driving 10 minutes, you drive through like 3 little towns, you know?
Yeah, no, I get
so
that.
It seems like it's something like that, like in the Midwest or something. I don't know. But it was very nice to see where the Academy came from, because the Academy were all like very like goth emo kids. And I'm like, how do you just all become goth emo kids? You know?
Yeah.
Like, because that seems like a personality trait. And then for them to explain that like they were all like outcasts from their groups, that's like their origin. So I'm like, okay, so that would kind of, you would just like inherited a little bit of the punk rock within that, you know?
I know. Something I want to know more about the Academy, because like obviously they are, you know, they form their, I don't know, their cultural bubble around living at Academy Records. They're surrounded by vinyl records all over the place, and they each have to pick one that is their meaning, and that album becomes their god.
Right.
I want to know more about that.
Yeah.
I'm very interested in like how they developed them having these records as their gods. And like and I think I sent this to you too, but like at least on Spotify, somebody made a playlist of like, this is music that like I would listen to while reading through this, because there are variants that have come out with a vinyl record with it,
right?
Which our pal Ross has gotten a few of those, I believe.
How do you store them, Ross? Let us know.
But yeah, like it's really cool that they do have like music attached to it. And so this playlist has a lot of like origin, like old school, like punk rock.
Right. And again, like it just seems very well thought out. Like they sat and was like, what's a good song for this? You know, like that would be found in a record store from this time, you know? Like again, that's a great way to like approach a comic. Like it seems like if you're trying to tell a story, that's like, you know.
But yeah. So well, if you're reading along with What's the Furthest Place From Here, we'd love to hear your thoughts. What's your favorite issue? What's your favorite character, story arc? There's so much going on in it, and I'm very excited about where it's going to continue to go. So,
dude, same. Very excited.